Hello, and welcome to this Analyst Angle, where we are unpacking a recent Oracle Database and AI Summit held for analysts at the Oracle HQ out in California. The high-level themes we will unpack as framed up by CUBE alum Juan Loaiza, who is the EVP of Mission Critical Database Technologies. The talk at the Oracle Summit was really about Oracle's overreaching data management and how they will benefit not only traditional applications, but also AI. The first topic that we will be investigating is really unified data management. Oracle is pushing a comprehensive database solution integrating multiple data types and workloads and AI strategies into a seamless platform. It was really interesting innovation that they're bringing to the table there. The second interesting topic that we talked about at this Analyst Summit was really the JSON relational duality views, and Juan really went into why this was really important. This approach allows data to be accessed in multiple different formats, such as relational database, so the typical kind of SQL-esque, if you could say that, and JSON, graph, without compromising performance or developer ease of use. Thirdly, really we delved into autonomous and mission-critical database cloud services, where Oracle has simplified mission-critical databases management, making advanced database technologies accessible to organizations of all sizes, starting with really small implementations and scaling up to the largest using their exascale technology. It was really interesting to see how they were bringing these to different clouds. The OCI folks were there in the room to also add a little bit more flavor into how this was being deployed as well, both on OCI and other hyperscale clouds and partner clouds. Really, the next thing that we went into was performance and integration, where they emphasized especially around engineered systems like Exadata that provided superior performance by integrating hardware and software. I think everybody kind of knows what Exadata and Exascale is today, but we went deep into and focused on how they were really looking to reduce network bottlenecks as well. Multi-cloud strategy was a big part of this, as I kind of just alluded to, beyond OCI data centers, with Oracle expanding its database services across multiple cloud providers, offering consistent high-performance solutions with no egress fees and fully feature parity to what's in OCI. It was really interesting, and we'll kind of delve into that a little bit more as well. As you know, I like to bring on product management experts to help me break down things even more. Product management mindset really gives you a unique view into things, and I think as a product person myself, nobody better to help break this up from an analyst perspective. Today, I'm excited to be joined by longtime fellow product wonk and analyst in residence with Hyperframe Research, Stephanie Walter. Welcome to the show. Stephanie, it's your second time on theCUBE. Glad to have you back. Last time you were here, you were with a previous company as a product manager. So, again, great to get your view on things, all the things Oracle, as we sat in that room for a very packed day a couple weeks back.
Yeah, we certainly did. There was a lot of information, and thanks, Rob, for having me on today.
Yeah, I think, again, it was great because you were sitting with probably as the only female really analyst in the room. You were sitting there with a whole bunch of us who've been on the analyst side for quite a while. You had some really interesting insights into what was going on. What were your top takeaways from the summit?
So, my top takeaway, that's a good question. The first thing that struck me was really Oracle's AI strategy at every layer. So Oracle's really integrating AI deeply into its database platform and focusing on bringing AI capabilities directly to where the data lives. And from a product perspective, that's a tricky thing to get right, and to make sure that your portfolio is acting in concert. So I found that really interesting and really impressive, actually. And that also goes into their focus on convergence. So Oracle's really aiming to deliver a unified environment to reduce complexity and accelerate innovation. So they weren't just talking about integrating data types. They were purposely building this extensive platform where you don't need separate databases to handle different data types, for example. And that has a real impact on efficiency, but also cost and pricing, that's really beneficial to the consumer. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Something else that I noticed, yeah.
No, I think that was great. I think again, and keep going because I think that the way you broke that down was really super interesting, and I think you had done that when we were there live as well. So sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Oh no, that's great. And it is really interesting to look at these things, as an app analyst, but someone that has a lot of product management experience. Because the next thing that stood out to me, we'll talk about personas here, which is something that a lot of product managers really work with day to day. So Oracle has an approach to AI that's saying that the way that you do AI needs to be tailored to the different personas or user types. And they see domain experts, employees, and end users as distinct personas that have varying levels of complexity. They need different types of guardrails, they have different accuracy requirements. And so that needs to be kept in mind as you're integrating AI into the enterprise. That's something that we don't. I don't come across a lot of companies necessarily making that such a front and center uh, point. And so I thought that was really interesting, and it flows into this position that AI is not just an optional add-on; it's a fundamental technology that businesses can't afford to ignore anymore. So this goes into putting all of these AI capabilities just built into their products, because this isn't an optional feature. This isn't just an add-on. This isn't just something that you're going to kind of play around with and see if you like it. This is going to be core to your business. Um, and so something that also is near and dear to my heart that I was happy that we talked about was making AI practical for enterprises. So I think Oracle said something like the last 20% of AI implementation is the most difficult for enterprises. And if you really think about it, once all the cool AI features and everything that AI can do is in place, you have to think about security. You have to think about data integration, privacy controls, managing multiple applications across an enterprise, maybe even compliance. And so Oracle, and I see this trend in the industry too, they're really starting to think about what does it take to operationalize AI in these companies. And I think I don't think I can have a conversation about AI. We're talking about agents. Agent workflows, of course, are emerging. There's a shift from simple language models to agents that can traverse applications and databases, execute business workflows. That's going to add a lot of interesting complications and opportunities for product development. How do you secure these agents? They have characteristics of both humans and machines. How do you verify that the outcome is appropriate? So that was something that really captured my interest. And then I'll say, the last thing, and you had already mentioned it, Rob, the multi-cloud strategy. We've been talking. I know I've been talking about multi-cloud for years, and I was happy to see some of this come to fruition. Oracle's enabling their customers to natively integrate database services across partner clouds. So something like 80% of customers are already using multiple clouds. So we're talking about Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, et cetera, OCI. So Oracle's really thinking through what it's like to exist in this multi-cloud universe and providing customers with unified data management and governance. So it was a long day. It was packed with information, but those for me, those were my key takeaways from the session.
Stephanie, I totally agree with a lot of the key takeaways you had, especially on personas. And we'll dive into my takeaways now. One central place we spent time on that is very important to AI is performance. Oracle is aiming to make huge improvements to performance and aiming to do it at a cost-effective way with autonomous database storage priced around $1 per terabyte per month. Oracle is undercutting typical flash-based, cloud-based storage and offering faster performance. That's a bold efficiency claim, and I think it's one that they can take to the bank with their customers. Oracle also talked a lot about bringing together many features of independent databases like the different data types into their databases, once again focusing on TCO, which can have big impact on the ROI of AI. Also, around how organizations will get better ROI, productivity tools are front and center in Oracle's plans, aiming to cater to different personas, as we were just talking about, of the data engineers and data scientists with shared notebooks, AI coding assistants, model catalogs, and full access to open source libraries and LLMs, all baked into a platform. This is a space I can't go too much deeper into at this point in time, but I expect Oracle to really leverage some of the integrations they have already announced, such as Delta sharing with Databricks, to help organizations achieve higher ROI on their data. I think all of that really leads me back to you, Stephanie, because I think it tied together a lot of the underpinnings of what you were talking about. And I love the OCI stuff too. And I think, again, we'll probably chat about that a little bit more as we go through here. But, let's kind of bring it back to your most outstanding part of the summit. What did you think it was, and kind of, what stood out as you go through, and people should really, take notice and go and check out?
So it's like two things. The first one is Oracle's execution of its AI strategy. So, from a product management perspective, it's one thing to say, oh, we have AI everywhere. We're putting AI capabilities into the database. We are putting it in every single layer. We're serious about AI. It's one thing to have that vision, and that vision is important, right? And you need to communicate that vision to your users and your customers and the market. But it's one thing to be able to have that vision, to say that, but it's quite another to actually pull it off and build the capabilities into that portfolio, especially if the portfolio already exists and has a large customer base that's already running your product. So the fact that we weren't just talking about vision, we were talking about real actual features and capabilities that not only has Oracle already built and are being they're out there for customers, but they're also being used in production currently by customers that we actually got to hear from at the summit, which was really cool and one of my favorite parts, of course. So that so overall, that was probably the biggest thing that stood out to me. Like, this is pretty impressive what Oracle's doing, and they talked about, this stuff isn't easy. We have this huge team, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of engineers that work on this stuff, because this is not just something that happens because you wanted to or because you have a vision. It's really tough to pull off, and so I was impressed that they have done so much, and then that the customers are already using a lot of these capabilities. So that's my first thing. My second thing is it veers a little bit away from the database world, I'd say, but it's this concept that Oracle was calling the GenDev methodology, which they talk about in terms of AI application development. So let me explain this a little bit. We've been hearing for a while now that AI is just going to write all of the code. We're not going to need software engineers anymore. AI is just going to write all of our applications, and we're not going to have to worry about that anymore. As someone who used to be a software engineer, of course, I'm like that. I don't think that is anywhere near true, at least yet. And Oracle is backing me up there and saying that, while AI is really going to help make development more efficient and hopefully better, easier to do, you really need a pragmatic approach when you're talking about using AI to generate enterprise applications. So if you think about, again, all of the things that go into an AI application for the enterprise, things like security, things like compliance, scalability, all of that, the architecture of the application, existing applications that it needs to integrate with. These are all things that really require skilled software engineers to be a part of. So what Oracle is recommending is taking a more realistic approach and thinking about using AI in terms of modules when you're developing, using AI to develop enterprise applications. So you break up, which is typical with application development. You break up your application into modules or into your services and use AI to help generate the pieces, but make sure there's the human in the loop concept that we're hearing about so much now, to verify the code, to be a part of the overall architecture of the application, to understand where the integration points are, because AI is not there, at least yet. And so you can use AI to really speed up development, but you still need to use it in a controlled, supervised way. And I just really liked how Oracle was talking about, calling this Gen Dev and breaking down the steps and the reasoning behind why this approach is, a safer and more practical one for enterprise application development.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
yeah, and so I'm interested, from what your most standout part of the summit was.
Yeah, and I think again you hit on one of them, which is the Gen Dev stuff. So I'm glad you went down that path, because I think again that is one of the things, as the company who basically owns Java, for that matter. I thought it made a lot of sense from that perspective and what they're doing on that side, even though they didn't go deep into it. I thought also one of the things you hit on was around OCI expansion, where they kind of count the regions, and they plan to have over 170 regions up and running this year. And that, to me, that's unprecedented reach geographically, as well as a lot of sovereign clouds and a lot of partner clouds. I kind of brought up, some of the partners they'd worked with before and are OCI related regions like Fujitsu and others. They could see that expanding as well. So I think they're doing really good beyond just the integrations with people like AWS, Azure, Google, I believe it was Ali and some others as well out there in the major hyperscalers. So I think their strategy from that perspective, and the fact that they really focus on integration with the native APIs, infrastructure as code with Terraform providers and things of that nature, or CloudFormation in the case of AWS. Also the networking support and where they talk about that was good, and it made a lot of sense, especially when you talk to the fact that they're working with cross-cloud AI services and compatibility to really unlock vendor lock-in. I think that's important for them. Is bringing the data to the AI is really hard to do, but if you bring the AI to the data, and if your data happens to be cohabitated, that really makes it easy to go use something like a Bedrock or a Gemini or one of the other services that's out there, or Azure AI or OpenAI for that matter. I also thought, it really will help organizations leverage that data as they, have in autonomous and in particular in Exadata and on Exascale. I mean, 80% of the data people want to use in AI is on-premise data in data warehouses. So a lot of that can be assumed to be that Exadata and HeatWave and autonomous, which really in a hybrid manner, like you said earlier on, 80% using multiple clouds that they quoted there. We see that.
Yeah.
We think that nobody's saying I'm going to go to one cloud. They may want to burn down credits in one cloud or another cloud, maybe departmental clouds and things of that nature. I thought that was dead on what you talked about earlier. And I think, people are really looking to get the ROI out of AI. And we talked a lot about that at this. And I thought the stuff that you brought up around AI and how they're putting it in everything from their Fusion apps to in the database itself, I thought was really key. And I think, again, where they're going with this and really what they're doing to innovate for customers is really cool. So, I think you had a lot of the great analysis. It's really hard when you're doing this with somebody else who's super smart in this area and takes that kind of product mindset, because, great minds think alike. So I appreciate you coming on. And, I think this is going to be a fun space for us to, watch together over the next few years. I think it's going to be one of those things that we love working with other analyst firms and really going back and forth, because I think, again, it helps everybody think bigger about these things. And I really appreciate you coming on board and really helping me think differently as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. It was great talking about all of this with you. Yeah, and I look forward to future conversations. I love this stuff. So yeah, and thanks again.
Yeah, it was great. And I want to thank all of you out there who are watching this Analyst Angle, Product Angle. I'm going to maybe we'll go down that route with this titling in the future, but on theCUBE, the leader in tech analysis and news. Stay tuned for more of these. See you soon.